It's actually a myth.
So you're saying Ben Franklin didn't try to make the turkey our national seal instead of the bald eagle?
Well, not exactly. He just objected in a letter to us using the bald eagle, which he felt was a, quote, bird of bad moral character. Franklin said, quote, he does not get his living honestly. He is too lazy to fish for himself.
I don't know how to evaluate a bird's moral character.
Well, Franklin felt the turkey was a much more respectable bird and a bird of courage.
Well, they're certainly more delicious than all the bald eagles I have eaten.
And that makes a perfect segue into this week's truly delicious whiskey.
It's happy hour, so welcome to Drinking Dusties, where we get to uncork some one-of-a-kind history in a bottle, tasting liquid time capsules to let you know what's worth trying to seek out on your own and what may be better off left buried in the sands of time.
I'm Charles Cox. I've written about whiskey at Maxim, Men's Journal magazines. I edit the annual World's Best Whiskeys Guide.
And I'm Steve Russell. I like bourbon and old stuff, and I definitely get the drumstick I call dibs.
Damn it.
And I think I can guess what brand of whiskey you might have for us today. Could it be Wild Turkey?
I was very subtle.
Yeah, so sorry.
All right, you've got it.
Yeah.
The coveted golden ticket for so many dusty hunters.
Is that even if it's not wrapped in cheesy gold foil?
Yeah, that particular bottle is a little bit out of my price range, but so far, I'm still going to try.
Yeah.
But this one's more recent, but also more rare. Wild Turkey Tradition, as you can sort of see here on the eroded label. Yeah.
Doesn't affect what's inside the bottle, of course.
Yeah, if you're just looking to drink a dusty bottle rather than try to resell it, then a damaged label can actually be a good thing, as it usually brings the price down.
Right.
We drink these, so we don't care.
Yeah, and the juice inside is all we really care about, plus we're inherently cheap bastards. How much was this one?
This one's $2.75, not cheap, but also not crazy for a Wild Turkey. As you know, the price of Wild Turkey bottles have been skyrocketing.
For sure. Well, tell me about it. And why is that exactly? It's not like people only just discovered how great Wild Turkey is.
Well, in many ways, Wild Turkey has flown mostly under the radar for a long time. Yeah, like right there.
I get it.
They make a lot of great bottles at reasonable price points, but they just haven't been overtaken by the same hype that's hit Buffalo Trace, Willet, Heaven Hill, that swamps them.
But still, why? Why do so many people covet those brands to the point where half their offerings have to be allocated, but you can still stroll into the liquor store and buy most Wild Turkey bottles on the shelf?
It's one of bourbon life's great mysteries for sure, but might have something to do with their NDP origins.
We should define NDP for those who don't know. That stands for non-distiller producer.
Basically, it means you sourced it from somebody else.
Right.
And we don't need to get into the weeds today, but there are different levels of NDP, from buying another distiller's finished aged whiskey and just bottling it under your own label, to taking distilled whiskey and aging it yourself, to contract distilling in another distillery per your own recipe, to a combo where you use a larger facility but with your own team. And of course, there's fusions or variations on each of those.
And Wild Turkey got its start as a pure sourcing deal, right? Like Austin Nichols launched it after a hunting trip.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Austin Nichols was a wholesaler who bottled whiskey distilled after Prohibition by the Rippey family at the Old Hickory Distillery in Tyrone, Kentucky. And I said, who? But side note, Austin, Nichols was a company, not a person.
Yeah.
It was a partnership between James Nichols and Robert Austin that became known as Austin Nichols and Company. So if you hear somebody say Wild Turkey was started by a man named Austin Nichols, then you can be sure that they don't know what they're talking about.
Maybe like me. Man, there are so many articles online that say that Austin Nichols was a dude.
So it's not your fault. It's those articles.
Right.
Those articles, they did not do their research.
Right.
There is an actor named Austin Nichols, and he was in I Know What You Did Last Summer and Day After Tomorrow, but he definitely didn't make any Wild Turkey.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yep, but an Austin Nichols executive took some samples on a turkey hunting trip with some buddies back in 1936. It was so popular afterwards, they asked him for more of that Wild Turkey bourbon. 4 years later, they were bottling it and selling it Wild Turkey commercially by 1942.
That's cooler than most of the made-up stories bourbon companies tell about their founding.
But the Rippeys sold their operation in 1949, just 7 years later, and for a long time, Austin Nichols Wild Turkey had to be sourced bourbon purchased on the open market. Some of it originally from the Rippey distillery and the later Golds, and some from other sources, so it wasn't always consistent. But by 1971, they bought the distillery, by then called Boulevard, and they renamed it the Wild Turkey Distillery, which along with the brand was sold to Pernod Ricard in 1980.
Because everything about bourbon is more complicated than it should be. And none of that is as interesting as tasting whiskey.
Right.
So let's get this going.
All right. Well, I'm going to pour you some current day Wild Turkey rare breed first, while I talk about what is interesting. Fire.
Fire?
No. Fire, Steve.
Oh.
So, back in 2000, Wild Turkey had a fire that was so bad it shot flames 200 feet high, destroying an entire 7-story Lawrenceburg, Kentucky warehouse holding 17,000 barrels of precious bourbon.
Wow.
A lot of that bourbon flooded out into a flaming river into the surrounding woods, which of course also caught fire.
Pretty.
Yeah.
An apocalyptic burning river of fire.
Roughly a fifth of the whiskey flowed into the Kentucky River, making the most delicious toxic waste spill you could imagine, but unfortunately killing hundreds of thousands of fish, shutting off a water treatment plant, cutting off water supplies for weeks that forced schools and businesses to close, and just causing a huge mess.
Wow.
And then there were people who actually went down to the river with buckets to try to drink it.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Kentucky.
That must have put a damper on their whiskey production.
Not really. I normally have knee-jerk criticism of corporate overlords, but in this case, Pernod Ricard were such a huge operation that they were actually able to move production to their Lawrenceburg, Indiana facility and also to Arkansas for a while until they could rebuild the place, which of course they did bigger and more modernized than before.
So is it kind of like Heaven Hill, where pre-fire whiskeys are particularly sought after and more expensive?
No, because in this case, the fire didn't really alter production at all, but beyond the destruction of 1 million gallons of aging whiskey, which is tragic, admittedly tragic. It was just warehouse space. So the whiskey made before and after the fire isn't actually noticeably different. But the Dusty we'll be opening in a bit, for the record, is pre-fire from 1995.
Okay, can I try this now, please?
Yes, okay, fine. So we're first trying the current day offering Wild Turkey Rare Breed Barrel Proof. And we start neat without ice or water, just to start so we know what it's supposed to taste. You can alter it later.
I got a really deep whiff, and I got to say it smells a lot like bourbon.
Yes, the normal vanilla, caramel, apple, charred oak, but with more baking spices and some pepper compared to a lot of bourbons. Because Wild Turkey uses a higher rye mash bill than most bourbons do.
Okay, taste it.
All right.
Yep, tastes like bourbon. I'm going to go ahead and say good bourbon.
You're so fucking Aryan in your eloquence, Steve.
Yep.
I do taste more caramel, vanilla, some maraschino cherries maybe, baked apple, marmalade, charred oak, maybe some toffee, wrapping it up with a long baking spice finish.
I knew you were going there. What the hell is baking spice?
All right, cinnamon, nutmeg, a bit of cloves.
And why didn't you just say that? I bake with salt and sugar, and I taste brown sugar, which you didn't mention in your pretentious flavor list.
All right, I will add, it also has the taste of brown sugar.
Thank you.
And it's worth mentioning that there's a bit of controversy with this bottle.
No way.
So Rare Breed's been celebrated as one of the best barrel-proof bourbons by experts out there for years. At around $66, it's a good deal for a good bottle. But some reviewers have said that the quality has actually started to slip a bit.
Has it?
Well, I don't think so. Yeah. But we're not doing a side-by-side Rare Breed tasting today, but this tastes pretty good. Wild Turkey typically produces some of the most consistent whiskey around. Last year, Jimmy Russell celebrated his 70th birthday. Or 70th year working for Wild Turkey, 70th anniversary. He got his start sweeping the floor there in 54, became master distiller in 67 after learning the ropes. Yeah. And his son Eddie, who's now master distiller, and his grandson Bruce also work with him. So Wild Turkey has a unique distinction in bourbon of having 3 different generations working together.
Yeah, can't really argue with that kind of institutional knowledge.
No, and Rare Breed itself, although they've redesigned the label, still has the exact same mash bill, the exact same proof point, 116.8, and it's as it has since 2016. It has the same batch mix, 12-year-old bourbon from the bottom floors, 8-year-old from the middle, and 6-year-old bourbon from the top floors.
So why do people think this is different?
Well, the label changed. Sometimes people just like to complain.
Right.
Yeah. Now, the great David Jennings, he's a Wild Turkey superfan. He runs the Rare Bird 101 blog. He's had a lot more Wild Turkey than we have. He did taste the 2023 against 2022, and he reported no noticeable drop-off. And if anything, the new batch had a longer finish.
Okay.
He drinks a lot, so I trust him, but
yeah, it tastes pretty great to me. I will say it's a little hot for me, but I like the taste. I wouldn't say I'm a super fan like Jennings, but I've always loved Wild Turkey, honestly. The history of the Russell family running the show for 70 years. In fact, they have used the same yeast strand for 60 years and used non-GMO grains. Surprisingly, few bourbon makers can say that.
Not many can. Yeah.
And their water actually comes from the filthy Kentucky River, although they do filter it first.
I really don't think they want you to call it filthy.
It's not a great marketing word, but like I said, they filter it through limestone, which fixes everything.
Plus, they distill it, which literally does purify the water.
Right,
so it's
exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's good whiskey. So we've decided there's been no drop off in quality for Wild Turkey. New stuff tastes just as good as this Dusty.
Hold up. I never said that.
I'm pretty sure you did.
We haven't even tried the Dusty yet. This was just for comparison, right? But it is worth noting that David Jennings identifies a couple of golden ages of Wild Turkey as being superior to the other already great Wild Turkey offerings. And we're basically in one right now.
That's cool.
So this is part of it. So if you're at the liquor store tomorrow and you can't decide what bottle to get, you really can't go wrong with a current bottle from Wild Turkey, especially the Rare Breed. It's great. We love that one too.
And the price is right too. What was the other golden age of Wild Turkey, at least according to David Jennings?
Well, the years after Jimmy Russell took over as master distiller, so that's 67 until 1978 or so. Okay. That was the beginning of the bourbon glut. Okay. But he sees Russell as in his prime then, making really outstanding whiskey.
So we're trying to bottle from that era.
No, I couldn't afford that.
Oh.
So instead, I got us a bottle that you've never heard of from 1995.
Okay. Yeah. The shape is new to me. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna open this up.
Okay. Yeah.
This is still great. This is still great. So this was coming out of the bourbon glut, an era from 1992 to 1998 that Jennings caused the Turkey Renaissance.
Okay.
And let's talk about this. I just broke the cork.
No way.
Yeah.
On a bottle from 1995.
So this often happens with Dusties because unlike wine, with wine, you store it on your side usually, so you can have wine for a long time. It keeps the cork wet, so it doesn't crumble.
I'm usually not worried about it on a bottle that has this kind of capsule outside on it, though.
Yeah, I didn't think you saw. I was just twisting. I didn't think about it. I should have been more careful. It cracked off.
Wow.
So because the cork is all dried out, because over time, it's been sitting upright, and so this is all dry. So unfortunately, this means what we need to do is get a corkscrew. And we may also get some sediment some pieces of cork that settle into the bourbon.
Right.
I don't really care about that. I can fish that out with my fingers. But if you at home are bothered by the cork, you can always pour it through a cheesecloth or a strainer into a decanter if you want to be precious about it. I just use my finger.
All right.
Corkscrew.
All right.
Go get it. Go get it. Steve's going to go get a corkscrew. While he's going, I'm going to tell you some really embarrassing stories about him as a kid. I'm just kidding. I didn't know him as a kid because he's like 50 years older than I am. Hey, Steve's back. I didn't say anything while you were gone.
I'm sure you did. You've always told me how much you admire me.
That's what I always say.
Oh, this is too small for this.
You've heard that before, haven't
Hey,
I feel like we need Ed McMahon there, too. I got this for you. Don't worry.
Is he going to close down right?
I'll take care of it.
It's making me nervous. All right, I'm going to hold this so it could actually...
Okay, I crumbled it more.
Well, there's no way around that, I don't think.
All right. See, this is the part of the video that we will be speeding up. All right,
now we close back down.
So there's a lot of cork now, but that's okay. We're going to drink this anyway. All right, so
we got trained glasses.
Yep,
I got a new glass.
Okay, we're a little messy today. It's all right. This is still great. This was coming out of the bourbon glut.
Oh my goodness.
A period that Jennings calls the Turkey Renaissance.
Can I have extra cork in mine, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Eddie Russell was a big part of operations too by then, taking his dad's traditions, also adding some innovations along the way. This bottle, actually called Tradition, was bottled exclusively for the Japanese market.
Big in Japan, but they had their own great whiskeys over there. So why do they get special bottles of our good stuff just for them?
Because to be fair, they kind of saved the entire bourbon industry. A lot of bourbon makers admit that if not for the Japanese market ponying up to buy aged bourbon back in the 80s and 90s especially, many labels of older age whiskey would have ceased to exist. So for a long time, some of our best whiskey was being shipped over there because the Japanese were the only people who would actually pay for it. So
that explains the duty-free sticker on the front, because a lot of these actually went to duty-free shops in airports. You can't really see much on the label because it's all kind of flaked off, which has, of course, helped keep the cost down too.
Yeah, no age statement, but 101 proof. So I got this at auction for $275, but with all the taxes and fees and shipping, that jumped to $369.
Fees suck.
Yes, they do, but I still think this bottle is worth it. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
We haven't tried it yet. Hope you like cork.
Well, I ain't waiting any longer.
We'll sniff it first.
Okay. Corky.
I get some baking spice on the nose, Steve, just for you. Honey, caramel, vanilla, toasted oak, leather, almost. Orange peel. There's a little bit of earthy mustiness. Maybe it's tea. Slightly floral, too.
You and your baking spices. It smells like bourbon.
All right.
But yes, there is a mustiness to it, like an oldness, but that's not a bad thing, I'm hoping.
Now, the baking spices are the high rye mash bill. 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley.
That's deceptive advertising. They should call that a high corn mash bill.
Well, every bourbon's high corn. It has to be at least 51% by law, but Wild Turkey using rye as the second grain was actually ahead of a lot of other bourbons. If you've ever had an old bottle of Wild Turkey's Kentucky Legend, David Jennings says that this is likely the same stuff.
Okay. I'm going to drink it now.
All right, I can't stop you. Cork.
I didn't get any. I missed it.
I dug out all this cork and I still got it, but...
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I'm getting Werther's hard caramel candies. Vanilla, maybe a little bit. Old musty oak. Honey, nutmeg and cinnamon. Didn't say baking spices. Maybe some cherries?
Yeah.
A little bit?
It tastes like bourbon. But seriously, actually, I wasn't like counting on this musty thing. I've always like when they talk about that, I'm always like, sure, it's there. I actually do taste that.
That funkiness is the wild turkey secret sauce,
right?
According to many fans.
Seriously, I always kind of thought, if it were there, I was always like, that seems like a bad thing.
Did you get any mustiness in the rare breed?
No, I did not.
Okay, so in the years after the fire, Wild Turkey did make some updates, and one of those was eventually replacing their old still on the grounds of that burned warehouse in 2010. So anything distilled up to 2009 was the old still. Anything distilled from 2011 or more recently was the new still. So our bottle of rare breed from 2023 is all from the new still, whereas the tradition is all from the old still.
I got corked that time.
Yeah, hence the different taste, right? So they're different expressions of different eras, but also, yes, technically different distilleries. And the more one Wild Turkey fan complained that it just tastes, well, different.
Yeah.
So that funkiness isn't really there anymore. It's a loss, but it's still a great whiskey.
Yeah. So I did not believe in this musty thing.
But now.
And I figured, that's probably a bad thing. When they use the word funky.
No, but it's a compliment with Wild Turkey.
Right. I know. But
the thing is, you can't really put your finger on it. You can't quite explain why it is.
Right.
A lot of people think it was because of those the cedar fermentation tanks that they use. It's like just something in how the bacteria works in that.
Yeah, it's there.
I don't know. It's definitely
there. It's not like it, it's not like it's...
And it was not there in the rare breed.
It's not there in the rare breed.
Still great. I still love the rare breed.
That quality is not in the rare breed. And like I said, in this, it's not like it's the only thing about this bottle.
Right.
But it is there.
Yeah.
Which makes it a distinguishing characteristic in bourbons where you're discussing on one spectrum, right? You're usually discussing all those bourbons from good to bad, kind of on one spectrum. And then you get a bottle that has something that other ones don't have. So you talk about it in a separate category, right? Something you're talking about, Wild Turkey of a certain era has got that funk must. Kind of thing.
Funk must. That would be a great name for a punk band.
I think it is, probably. Or what about a funk band?
No. That's why you throw them off.
That's how you throw them off.
I'm going to go see Funk Must.
Right. Exactly.
Let's mosh at Funk Must.
Right. But and I'll say, this is the first Wild Turkey of this era I've ever had. I've never had one before. So
this is definitely making me want to get some cheesy gold foil to compare.
Yeah, good luck.
Of course, now we can't we got to put this in another bottle.
I mean, the auction prices
is going in the mason jar.
Just in the times I've been walking auctions, I swear I've seen those prices go up on cheesy gold foil. Just in the time I've been looking.
I feel like when I was first, I almost got one for like $375, and I was like, that's too expensive. I don't want to get that. And then the next time I looked, it was like $800.
Okay, I'm seeing them now. Like there can be 5 or 6 of them in an auction, and they'll all go over 1,000. They'll be 1,200, 1,300. I've seen them go for 2,000. For
2,000?
That one that had, I still don't know enough to know.
So rich viewers, you can send us those bottles.
You could come drink that with us if you would like on air.
True. Yeah, you can't just send it because we pay for these bottles ourselves. I want to clarify, we buy these. But if you wanted to try one with us, because we love sharing whiskey with folks.
You're allowed to cuss, by the way.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's that one, and I'm not sure. For a while, I thought it was just like a different picture or it faded. But have you seen the one that's like, it seems like it has more of a silvery
yes,
label?
There's different colors of the cheesy gold.
Now, and that's the one that I've seen spike even higher. I don't know if people think that one's more special because it was just one of those things like there's fewer of them, so I'm going to get one of them.
Probably.
I've seen that go for $2,000. Yeah, I'm actually not sure which one of these I like more. I will go with the Dusty because honestly, it's just distinctive. I drink a lot of bourbon, and this does stand out. So, I love a good Dusty. Knowing the price points, I'd be still maybe needing to go with this, on a day where I'm a little short.
Yeah. I mean, Rare Breed's obviously a better buy, but this is a time capsule, right? I do prefer the Dusty Tradition bottle. It's got that distinctive presence with that mustiness. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing it. And now we get to the best part of every episode where we pick one of our generous Patreon patrons at random and send them a sample of this Dusty Wild Turkey. We haven't picked that person yet, but we will set some aside to send your way. Mystery you'll know it's yours because it will have cork in it.
If you would like join us on Patreon, support us there to get a chance to get this, and obviously like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more dusty yet new content.
Yep. Until then, everybody, keep it dusty. Yep. Cheers.
Skull.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I totally distracted you by drizzling cork.
That's fine.
We will not have cork in the bottle we send out.
We will.
No,
we will.
No.
They will.
That's how they know it's real.
That's how they know it's real. That's how they know it's from the. They can say you remember that episode that was where those idiots broke the cork and then had to freak out about it in high speed. They're like, this is the one, man. Somebody's gonna be able to put this on auction and sell it.
I don't think we freaked out. I think we handled that because that was a crisis and we handled it in real time. We didn't even stop the video. We just kept recording.
I was freaking out inside. A little bit.
You should go change your pants.
But yeah,
I
like this. I like this,
despite the cork. But that was a good.
Yeah.
That's good to have that experience because that happens.
It happens.
That does happen.
But I got a little cork there.
I tried to warn you. See, I dug all mine out.
The first big drink I had of it, I didn't get any cork out of the
I
first
have a
big
pile
slug.
of cork dug out.
The first big slug, I didn't have any.